Hello, and thank you for stopping by Britain's Hidden History. If you are interested in finding out the version of British history that used to be taught in the schools, that used to be widely accepted, and is known as the authentic history of Britain, then you have come to the right place. Were the Britons descended from Troy? When did the Trojan Wars happen? Are the lost tribes of Israel alive and well and living in Wales? Is it possible to read hieroglyphics using Welsh, using cymroglyphics? The birth of Western Christianity, did that take place in Britain? Was the Trojan War in Cambridge? The myth of a Roman invasion, and of course, the stories of King Arthur, the historical King Arthur, and there's two of them. We look at the works of Wilson and Blackett, people like Fomenko, Velikovsky, all these different sources, Commons, Beaumont, Anthony Thom, looking at the ancient history of Britain, how the star mounds, how things are laid out by astrological terms, all the way back to ancient Assyria, right up until about the 7th, 8th century, well, up until Norman times, really. And we can even look a bit at the myth of that. So, if this sounds like the sort of thing you're interested in, please join in. Join this rapidly growing community. There are so many people out there researching, coming back with amazing finds, both from the books and from the places. So, Thursday evening, 8 o'clock UK time, there's a show every week, includes interviews with people out there finding things, loads of fun and games. It's a nice light-hearted channel, so please keep it family friendly, be polite to each other. And then most days of the week, almost every day now, there's a video up, a little bite-sized chunk of history for you to think about and the evidence that goes with it. So please welcome aboard, be active, join the chat groups, join the Facebook groups, do the whole thing, get involved, use your grey matter and find out what is going on with this Britain's hidden history.
Have I got a problem? What have I got? What does that mean? I don't know what to press with OBS. There's just too many things to press. I went back to default. Lucky press. So hopefully I can edit this one again. Maybe one time we'll get one of these live issues so that I don't have to edit it afterwards. But anyway, I'm Paul Challenger and welcome to our live show format where there's a main presentation of new videos made by members of the group or affiliated groups, and with a top and a tail either side with news and feedback on the live chat. Everyone is welcome to contribute a video, and in fact, we're asking for new work urgently. Angela or myself will act as liaison to publish them to Britain's Hidden History YouTube site. Just message us by finding us on the BHH Facebook group page under members. If you've got a video or a PowerPoint with images in your video, we'll hopefully include it in the Sunday show because people like to see imagery. So here's a video. I'm going to chance my luck now. Here's a video of my friend Stephen J. Preston made for his own YouTube music channel. And he visited the Preseli Mountains and started hitting stones with his hammer. And he's calling this Singing Stones. Apologies for the video there. It's the way I recorded it. If you go onto Steve J. Preston's music channel and look for that video, his video work is beautiful. It flows completely perfectly as opposed to my recording of it. And when he's tapping those stones to make the beat sound, it truly is magical. I think Stephen Preston probably did every piece of the music for that video, including the harmonicas. He definitely did the piano. And obviously he's lifted his own hammer sounds off the stones to create the backbeat there. Isn't that amazing, though? Stones sounding like that. I wonder who discovered that for the first time. Ringing stones, yeah, I think they call them ringing stones, don't they? Rich has pointed out. So we'll now take a look at the news, and the news is urgent news this week. I recently spoke with BHH member Bob Morgan, and he's prepared a presentation giving an update on the Bute Energy plans up at Eglwysilan Common. Bob feels that this is urgent news to put out to members, as the company concerned are expected to put in their planning application shortly, and anyone with an objection or viewpoint will need to prepare their response in advance. Here's Bob's presentation. Well, today I'm talking with Bob Morgan again. Welcome, Bob.
Welcome again. Yes, yeah, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. And that depth of knowledge that you possess has really astounded our viewers. So today we'll be talking about St. Kenneth Common, I believe.
Yes, this is an update on the proposed wind turbine development up there. The last programs that Ross did, I think there was a layout that we had showing where the turbine locations were going to go. But back at the end of last year, the developer has actually now revised the scheme. And instead of being there 20 wind turbines being put up on top of the common, the good news is there's now only going to be 14. But the good news isn't that good when you actually start getting into the layout and see what's going to happen. So what I want to do now is we just go quickly through the new proposals. And the reason for doing this is so that anyone out there who has an interest in the common, who's got an interest in the zodiac, the potential zodiacs, or the cut marks, or the rock art on the rocks, or any other aspect of the common, so that they know now where the new turbine locations are going to go, and more importantly, where the access tracks, the cable routes, and all the ancillary bits and pieces are going to happen. And the reason for that now is with this information, what they should be doing is now going out onto the common, checking against the new plan, and seeing whether the new layout is going to impact on any of the features on the common which are of interest to them. The planning application, as I understand it, hasn't been submitted yet, but it's going to be submitted shortly, I would think, having now issued this revised plan. And then at that point, everyone will have the opportunity to put in their objections to the local authority. But we can't afford to wait for the planning application to be submitted before people start looking at this. People should start looking now and looking at the proposed layout, see what its impacts are, and if they think anything is going to be adversely impacted, they need to start getting their objections in order and start drafting up some objections ready to put them in as soon as the wind turbine application goes in. Because as soon as the application goes in, you have a very short window of time in order to submit your objections. And if you haven't got them prepared in advance, by the time you've actually put them together, you might have missed that deadline for the objections to be lodged.
That's a great news item, Bob. Thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Okay, well, let's go and look at the new layout and see what the developer is now proposing. Okay,
Oh,
so the proposed wind farm is called Twyn Hywel, which is you can see my cursor, which is the Twyn up on top of this section of the common. Why they've chosen it to name that when most of the turbines are now on the eastern side of the common, I don't know, but that's the name they've chosen for the development. And this plan on the right shows you the latest proposals. So you can got 3 turbines on the western side of the common, so there's 11 turbines then on this side of the common. If we then look at the detail of this and look at it on ordnance, look at it in a bit more detail, you can see what they're proposing. The orangey, or the orangey color here are all the new access tracks they're going to have to make across the common to get to access to the turbines. So you can see that at this point here, for example, they're going to have to cross the Stenhennig Dyke to get into these 3 turbines here. Similarly, on this one here, they're going to have to cross the dike again to get to the turbines all along this side of the dike. So they're going to have to cross the dike, and what they've done is they've mitigated that by minimizing the number of times they have to cross the dike, because you can imagine a situation where they would be crossing the dike for every single turbine, which wouldn't be good news. In order to get the turbines to site, they're going to make this new road here, this purple line here.
Yeah.
That's a new access track which links up to the roundabout here, up the other side. I forget what the actual place up there now is, but it's to hit the main road up there. There's a roundabout, and this new access track will provide the linking with that. And this is a brand new track coming up through virgin green fields. The access tracks, all of them, in order to deliver the turbine components, the turbine manufacturers insist on at least a 5-meter width of track. That's due to the size of vehicles needed to transport the turbine components, the blades and the tower sections. On corners, it will need to be wider than 5 meters to allow for the vehicles to swing around the corners. Wow. And then some parts, it could be, the tracks could be up to 8 meters wide. What they've shown as doing is this section, as you follow my cursor down here, past 7, 8, coming down here 9, down to 12 and 11, they're going to use the existing byway that goes across the common. This is an existing stone track. Now, this stone track is touted by the mainstream archaeologists and historians as being a Roman road. So they're actually having to upgrade, effectively, a Roman road. Now, that doesn't sound good to me, especially as the surface of that track at the moment is probably only around about 3.5 meters. So they need to make it wider. And also, in order to get the large vehicles up there, they're going to have to regrade it and restone it. So there's going to be a lot of work on that. Now, when that work is in progress, the public will not be able to use that byway, by any means, by walking, by vehicle, or by bicycle or horse, because if they're actually regrading and restoning that thing, you're not just physically not going to be able to be capable of using it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this line here, which looks like a railway line, is a byway, and that's another track, stone track, that goes across the common. Interestingly, on the western side, they're using the existing byway and the stone track, albeit that even though it's a Roman road.
Yeah.
On this, going this way, going towards the west, they're building a new parallel track. Now, I don't understand why they're doing that, because you're actually building a whole brand new parallel, probably 5 to 8 meter wide stone track across the virgin common. You know, they're going to have to dig it, they have to excavate it out, level it, and then stone it all. But why they don't just do what they did on the other side and just refurbish and extend the existing stone track, I don't know. And there must be a reason for that, and that's one of the questions I've got for them is why are you doing that?
A valid question, yeah.
Because you're actually creating, you're creating more damage to the common. You know, instead of keeping the damage to the corridor that's already damaged, in fact, by the already existing stone track, you're creating a parallel one. And as I said, to each of the turbine locations, 4, 5, you can see that they're providing new tracks as well to those. And again, all of these will have to be at least 5 meters wide and stoned. The other thing that's interesting is these little blue things, which look like little lakes.
Yeah.
They're going to be quarries.
Quarries, wow.
In order to get the stone for the road.
That's what they call in a borrow pit.
Yeah, that's the technical name that you use for these things. They're borrow pits, are essentially stone quarries used for making roads. If you look at any Roman road or any ancient road, normally down the side of it, you will spot at intervals these borrow pits where they've actually dug out the stone in order to form the road.
Right.
So that's interesting, because that's going to, you look at the size of them, that's going to leave huge permanent scars on the common.
Yeah.
They're going to be there for all the time. They're never going to be filled in again.
Yeah.
So again, if anyone's got interested in the common, these areas here particularly, someone needs to go out and have a look at them and see if these quarries are going to impact anything which they think is of interest or shouldn't be impacted. And the other thing that's going to happen again is this dotted line down here. This is the corridor.
Yeah.
This purple dotted line. That's the corridor in which they're going to dig a cable route from, which will connect all the turbines to this location here, which is where the substation is, where the power will be fed into the local grid. So and not only then are they having to form new 5-meter stone access tracks, they're also then going to dig down the side of those access tracks trenches in order to put the electric cables into to get to this point here. So there will be cables linked from all of these locations here, and they will be down the side of the access track in a trench. They get to that point of view, then a new trench then will take it all the way down to this point here where you got the substation. So you can see there's some considerable impact. So if we have a quick look into the detail of it, a little bit more detail. This is the western side. Here's your Twyn Hywel, which is which they've chosen for the name of the energy park, and these are the turbine locations. The little purple rectangles here on each one are the crane pads. Again, these are going to be great big huge stone pads capable of accommodating a mobile crane, which will then lift all the turbine bits into features. So they'll lift the tower sections in first, then they'll lift the hub section in and lift the blades then up to connect to the hub. So they need a big crane there. Those crane pads will go in. They're quite big in themselves. The turbines themselves will then be mounted on great big huge circular concrete foundations, which will be sunk into the ground. And the crane pads again will be left there for at least the life of the project, because if they ever need to replace a blade, say a blade cracks or a blade is damaged, or if the bearings or something like that go in the main generator, they'll need a crane to lift all the parts up to it. So those crane pads will not be taken away, certainly during the life of the wind energy park, and in all probability will never be taken away.
Yeah.
So you created then a whole pile of hard standings, stone hard standings, probably 0.5 meter deep, rectangular in dimensions, and they will be there again, like the quarry, for all time.
Yeah, and everybody in Kilfynydd and Pontypridd will, and us up here probably, Tontaig through to Beider almost, will all see those 3 turbines there.
Yes, I mean they're proposed to be 220 meters high to the highest point, to the blade tip height, and you know they're going to be out there on the ridge line, so they're going to be seen from a lot of places. One of the places that will not probably see them is the village itself, Senghenydd itself, because
Over the other side, yeah.
well, no, it's down in the dip between the 2 ridges either side, and the sight lines will probably be such that, and the buildings and other things that will obscure views of them. So they might be the ones who don't get a view of it, but certainly there's going to be a lot of people in a big radius around who are going to get a view of these 220 meter high turbines.
Yeah, but you'd think that everybody, probably in Nelson and all the way round down to Caerphilly, would probably see it. Llanbradach and Caerphilly will all see it, no, presumably. Maybe not Llanbradach. There is a mountain in between them, isn't there?
Well, as part of the planning application, that they will be doing what they call ZTVs, zone of theoretical visibility maps, which shows you where you will be able to see. Essentially it's almost like a contour map showing you where you will be able to see the turbines and how many turbines you can see from a given location. And also, as part of the planning application, they will be putting in photo montages showing the views of the turbines from key locations that have been agreed with the planning officer. So so when the planning application goes in, everyone should be able to get a good idea of A, whether they're going to see the turbines or not, and B, what they're going to look like from some locations.
Yeah. What are the red lines on these maps? Are they
the red line is the boundary of the site. It's not the boundary of the common, it's the boundary of the site. And what that means is it's the boundary of the site owner's land. Although Senghenydd is a common,
somebody owns it.
Somebody actually owns it, and I think it's actually owned by 2. It's owned in 2 sections by 2 farmers. On this page here, as I said, the purple dashed line is the cable route. Somewhere in that corridor, they will be digging the cable in the ground. There will be a trench taken all the way down to the substation at this point here to connect into it. You go on to the other side. Now we come back to this. This is now the eastern side of the common, and this is here you are. This is going to be potentially a borrow pit.
Yeah.
Now, if anyone knows the common, they're going to automatically see how large that actually is.
Yeah.
And what they will do is that they'll obviously take off all of the topsoil, and then they'll dig down and get the rock. And I don't know how far they need to go down, but they probably go down 2, 3, perhaps even 4 meters down.
Yeah. What would happen with that hole then?
The hole is just left there. It just becomes a feature. It's just like most quarries. It's just left there to. They might landscape it a little bit, but with a quarry, there's not much you can do to landscape it because it normally ends up being solid rock.
Yeah, that won't fill with water then, will it?
It could fill with water, because one of the things on the common is it is. So certainly in the winter, it's got quite damp conditions on a large part of it.
Yeah.
So potentially it is going to fill up with water.
Yeah.
This dotted line here is where they're intending to have the site compound where they store all their materials and stuff.
All right. But further down on the orange route there, it goes very, very close to a cairn.
Yes. Which one? Which side?
Just follow the orange route to the left, above the word Senghenydd Dyke.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, those ones there. Yes, no, that's one of my main concerns, because those three cairns there, burial cairns, are part, according to Wilson Blackett, they are part of the zodiac.
Right.
Right. Now, last week, I was out there with Steve Hole, and we were taking drone footage of these cairns here, because they're not big burial mounds. These are they're like sort of I described them before. They're like basically like saucers. They're only about half a meter high and probably about sort of 8 meters in diameter, and they're just round like, you know, like penny. If you laid a penny on top of a tabletop, yeah, that's the kind of feature they are, and it's basically consisting of stones. And yes, those three there are of tremendous concern to me because of the proximity to where they are, which is again why I can't understand why they aren't coming in on this track here, which is already there, which is already in existence, and which is already stoned. You know, why create a new one? And you can see what's going to happen. They've created this triangle there. These tracks will be left in because if they ever have to replace any parts on the turbines over the next 30 years, so they won't be removed. And when they take, when they finish construction, you've got this nice little triangle here for people to drive around, and people are going to take shortcuts from one track to the other, aren't they?
They will, yeah.
Doing that, they're going to go straight across those cairns.
Yeah. Are they scheduled?
No, those are actually scheduled. Yes.
Right.
So during construction, one would hope at least that the planners will insist that they're fenced off.
Yeah.
But again, knowing how these projects work once they get going, because the main thrust is always to get it done. The weather conditions are normally always atrocious, and you've got a whole pile of people working on site with different kinds of machinery, and all of them are just focused on one thing: getting the project done as fast as they can so they can get home tonight.
Yeah.
And I can see that these three cairns in particular are going to be subject, of great concern to me. There's great potential for them to be damaged, but there's also a cairn in here, in this wooded area down here, which I can't see marked on there, but there is one in there, which again also features as part of the zodiac.
Right.
So there's quite. That's what I mean. That's why I think it's really important that people look at this. Take copies, or go to the Twyn Hywel website, get a copy of the plan, and go out there. And if you've got any interest in any aspect or feature on the common, go out to it and look at it and compare the plans and see whether it's going to be impacted or not. And if it is going to be impacted, shout loud and hard.
Yeah.
And then we go down here again. So you see, this is the byway. This is the old Roman road that they're going down.
Yeah.
And then you would see they're having to cross the dike, because you've got the dike to the left of that track. They're going to have to cross it in two locations, and they're going to also have to cross it there. Wow. Those crossing points again are a very of concern to me, because when they cross it, what they're going to do? All they're going to do is just fill in the ditch. In one sense, that's okay, because if they fill in the ditch is at least maintained. They won't dig it out for 30 years or more, but so the ditch will still be there, and future archaeologists will be able to scoop out what has been put in to fill it and dig it out. But the concern I've got is with the weight of the vehicles and things like that, they might start collapsing the sides of the dike and start altering the profile of the dike in those locations. The other thing that's about here, there are some new buildings going up. These little features here is a building, substation building for the turbines. And again, there looks to be another one there. It's important now that people get out there. And I said, what everyone needs to do is to go out there, look at it, check if it's going to impact anything that they're interested in, or anything that they think is important and should not be impacted, and start to put their objections together. Because as soon as the planning application goes in, we want a whole raft of objections if we need to object about anything going in. I'll certainly be writing in about my concerns about the three cairns, because we've also got another situation up on this section. See, you've got Cairn Eglwyd here in this in that location there. There's a cairn, and they're cairns which are not obvious on the ground. These are not obvious on the ground. So when Steve and I were there last week, we tried to photographing them from ground level, and you just lose the cairn in all of the greenery in the background. You can't actually make them out. It's only when we put the drones up that you can actually get to see them. So that's the state of play.
And where did you get the maps from?
Anyone can get copies of the proposals by going to the Twyn Hywel website, and it's Butte Energy, and on it they have details of the planning application. They also have copies of the reports that they've done, because they've done a heritage report, they've done ecological report, and etc., which is what they're required to do in order to support their planning application. But the problem, as we've discussed before, is the heritage report. The people doing that will only be looking at what is already scheduled or registered. They'll be looking at the scheduled monuments on the site. They'll be looking at any listed buildings on the site. They'll be looking at any buildings of historic interest that are on any kind of register. But anything that's not on there, and one of the big things that's not on there is most of the stones. Now, there's a couple of stones which are scheduled and registered because they've got rock art or they've got cut marks on them. But there's a lot of stones around there which we believe form part of this zodiac. They will not be scheduled. They will not be registered. They will not be listed on any formal list. And as such, because they're not listed as being of interest, they're fair game. You know, if they get bulldozed out of the way, no one's going to moan about it. And I think that's one of the big things with the Common, because one of the other presentations I got for us to go through is how the Common has already been being trashed. And it's only going to be trashed to a greater degree when all of this building activity goes on there, because you are going to have some really big vehicles going back and forth across that site, probably in very wet conditions. And as such, it's going to create havoc.
So the public have access to those roads afterwards?
No. As I said, all of the new access tracks they're making, every single one of them will be left in place, and will be left in place for at least 30 years, so that they can get big vehicles up there if they have to do any maintenance work, big major maintenance works to the turbines, like swap out a turbine or swap out a generator. But once they're open, the whole of the Common is open access land. So they can't stop you using them. And that is one of the things that I can assure you in planning application, that will be one of the benefits is we are creating the new hard service track for cyclists.
Cyclists and off-road motorcycles will use to get to another place they can try.
That's one of the things that's one of the potential problems it's going to rise to, because they will have all these nice new stone tracks suitable for big vehicles, but the off-road vehicles and off-road cyclists and motorcyclists will think, great, but technically they won't be able to use them because they aren't the bridleways. There's 3 bridleways that go across the Common at the moment, and off-road vehicles and off-road motorcyclists can use them. But technically they will not be able to use these new tracks because they still form part of the Common, and they are not public rights of way.
Right, we got to enforce that, though, haven't you?
But at the end of the day, I would personally much rather the off-road people use the new tracks rather than just
Common itself,
Common like they're doing now.
No, they'll only use the new tracks to get to another place. They can go off-road. The whole point of it is off-road, isn't it?
But as I said, what the big problem for me and the big concern is that where you've got an existing byway and a new stone track in that triangle where you got the three. I could just see people going from one track to another. Instead of going to the end and turning around and going back that way, they'll just cut across. And when they cut across, they're going to go straight across these stone cairns. Oh. I know, this development is one of these things that Ross was taking a very keen interest to because of the potential damage that's going to happen to the common and to the pieces in the the Zodiac jigsaw. If we lose a major part of it, we might not know today that stone was crucial to what we're doing, and we're already looking around for the Polaris stone because Ross never believed it was where Wilson and Blackett thought it to be.
Yeah, the one on the farm. So
we were looking around on the common for a Polaris stone. We haven't found it yet. And who knows, we might never find it now because it might be removed as part of this development.
Yeah, it might even be in that pile that farmer put
yes,
together.
That is the worry. Yeah, and once that, that's a key part of the jigsaw. Without that, the rest of the jigsaw, we can't build it around it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for highlighting this, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bob. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say. And I'm sure that many will appreciate your heads up. Maybe we could put the recording of that segment on a variety of YouTube channels or Facebook pages. Yeah, we'll put the link on a variety of Facebook pages, such as the one for Eglwysilan Common. And if we can find one that has been set up to oppose the development, then that would be a nice little video to put on their Facebook page as well. The link, that is. So there'll be more news and updates before each live show. Bob and I have a number of items already recorded. Some of the news Bob has found may now be a little bit out of date, but occurred during our time of quiet reflection after Ross's passing. There may be a slow supply of new material, but that's not going to be a problem as the reruns of Ross's work are very popular and will still feature as the main event on some Sundays and probably next Sunday, unless someone comes up with a new presentation. And don't forget, your videos don't need to be long, as a couple of them can be combined to form a main feature. Well, this brings us to tonight's main feature, and it's another Zoom interview between the highly knowledgeable Bob Morgan and myself. And remember I said last week I'm not so highly knowledgeable. And we're talking about Bob's recent observations of linear formations on the ground in two locations. Here's the video. Well, today I'm talking with Bob Morgan again. Welcome, Bob.
Welcome again.
Hello.
Well, today I'm talking with Bob Morgan again. Welcome, Bob.
Right, we're back at St. Peter's Church again now. Steve, Paul and I were out there last week, and we're out there specifically to look for some linear features in the ground, which I discovered on Google Earth and in some photographs I've taken, which perhaps indicates that there's potentially some adjoining buried structures next to the church. This all came about back in January 2022 when Steve and I went up there. As you can see, it was a really bad day.
Yeah.
Despite the fact of it being a bad day, I always take some record photographs. So I just took this photograph of the northeast corner of the church with the pulpit stone up here, up in the top. I didn't think much of the photograph until I got back and looked at it. I was reviewing my photographs as we got back from the trip. This is in January 2022. And one of the things that struck me when I was looking at this photograph was how straight that was. And to me, it didn't look natural. it looked as if it was man-made. You know, it's too straight, and especially as at the bottom end here, you can see that there's like a little step down, and so I looked at it, and then I decided then to look at some of the Google Earth images to see if there was anything there. Is there some kind of was it a wall, or was it some kind of structure, perhaps some remains of a building or something? And on most of the Google Earth images, I couldn't see anything at all. You've got the church.
Yeah.
This line, this is the pulpit stone up here. So this line that I saw, this very straight line, is somewhere around about there. And you can just make out there's some little depressions in the ground here. This is the burial mound here, and obviously this is the boat-shaped mound. So I decided to look at some more Google Earth images and go back looking over time at the images. I came across this one, and I put this up, and I had a cup of coffee, and I just sat there looking at it. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought I could discern a rectangle there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you would see the mark here. Yeah,
yep.
You can see it there. And if you go back and forth, and once you've seen it, and you go back and forth like that, the more you see it, the more you can see it. I thought, oh, could that possibly be then underneath the ground? Could it be the remains of a wall of a building? So I started looking at some more Google Earth pictures, and lo and behold, again, you're getting now some very, very straight lines here, and you're getting like a rectangular area here. And again, some more.
Well, to me, there's a whole pile of them to the right.
Yeah, no, to the right as well. Yeah,
exactly there. Yeah.
But this is where I'm beginning to get, this is where I'm beginning to get a little bit paranoid, because are these just artifacts in the actual Google Earth images?
Right.
You can get artifacts, because of the way that they make them and the way they capture the images, and they actually put them through various algorithms and stuff like that.
Yeah, you might be right.
Could these be some form of artifact in the processing? But you look at those there, and it looks very, very, very clear. And again, now the other thing that backs up that these may be real is, if you remember, we showed some photographs of the site visits we did when Ross was playing his guitar. Whilst Ross was playing his guitar and doing his Bob Dylan thing, I was dowsing across here, and I kept on coming across. I detected at least 4 parallel lines which seemed to match these lines here.
Yeah.
So in my dowsing, I'm beginning to think, oh, they perhaps are underground walls. Are these perhaps the remains of some buildings? One of the things with St. Peter's was it's supposed to be Cor Emrys, and there was supposed to be a perpetual choir there. So 24 hours a day, there would be monks or religious people sort of singing in the church that was there. It wouldn't be this church; it would be one of the previous incarnations of the church. But if you got those people and there's a perpetual choir, you would need accommodation for them. It wouldn't be that far away from the church, so they could do like you say, a shift swap, so it's now your turn to sing, and I'm going to go to bed, or I'm going to go and have something to eat. So could these be buildings or the remains of buildings attached to that? I don't know. But the more photographs I looked at,
that's quite clear then.
Now these are officially from these CADW's Coughlin's photographs. They're very clearly marked out there, and you got this like boundary coming round. You got this boundary coming round, which connects up with the little wall all around the church as it is now. Yeah. Also, it looks like there's remains of a rectangular building there.
Oh yeah, so there does. Is that the pulpit stone then at the peak of that mound?
Yeah, the pulpit stone is there.
Right.
So, but these photographs here, you know, they show, you know, there's definitely something there. They're shown up really strongly in these black and white images.
Yeah.
But what they are, I don't know. Are they just, you know, potentially they could, I suppose they could be drainage channels. I don't know. And Steve and I went out to look at, you know, see if we could see what we could see on the ground last week. Again, the conditions were not really good for drone photography because it was very poor. It was very overcast and cloudy, so we didn't put the drones up. And we couldn't see anything really on the ground. So I dug out some photographs of the church in the snow.
Yeah.
Thinking the snow would highlight any buried features under the ground, a bit like LiDAR. But you can see there's nothing really. There's no parallel lines like there are on the photographs. There's some lines coming down here and some bits and features here. Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. Don't know. And one of the things that is clear in the snow photographs is you got that, like this. I think it's a natural feature, not natural ridge feature coming across here. But this little feature here looks like it's some kind of an entranceway or a roadway coming up to an entrance or something. So again, when we were up there last week, we checked that one out, and basically that is a natural feature. You end up with a little rock face, and we think it's probably a spring, and it's probably caused some kind of erosion feature here, which has been highlighted by the snow. Again, you see it's this feature here.
Yeah. It didn't appear earlier because we got my pictures over it, but
and it looks like all the world, like there's a road coming up to something. And this is, I think, buried rock underneath the ground. It's some kind of a rock feature.
So who's the person buried in that mound there then? The one that the farmer's track cuts right through?
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be, I think they now think it's Mayrig, don't they? Mayrig.
I'm not sure. Yeah, you might be right. Arthur's father, yeah.
Father, yeah. This mound here with the pulpit on it is called Arthur's Mound. I don't know who started calling that. It's not shown on any map as Arthur's Mound, but certainly Wilson and Blackett referred to it as being Arthur's Mound.
Right.
Again, you can see it even in this snow photograph here. You know, there's a couple of features here, but you're not getting those lines that are quite clearly shown on the Google Earth ones.
No, there does seem to be a rectangle formed there.
Which here?
Yeah.
Yeah. There does. But I go back again to the Google Earth images, and you know, there's nothing visible in that one.
No.
On this one, you know, as I said, when you look at it for a period of time, you can actually I could see it now without having it highlighted. There is a rectangle there, and on all these, you know, I've got a fear that they could be artifacts of the Google Earth processing, but they are on so many Google Earth images, and the fact that they're on the coastline aerial photographs, which aren't Google Earth images, which are taken by they're taken by aeroplane, they are real. The question is, what are they? You know, I would like to think that they are the remains of buildings, you know, rectangular buildings, which have got some relevance or some connection to the church. But I can't say that at this point in time because we don't know. It could be that these lines are just drainage.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought I'd show these just to show, you know, that there's still things to be found under the gear. You know, definitely. So many people have looked over it, but there's still things to find out. And we moved from there then to Twyn Hywel. It's an aerial photograph that Toby Driver has taken. He's an archaeologist who takes aerial photographs from airplanes and drones. And again, I looked at this because there are features on the top here. You know, you can see this still feature here. That's like a thing. This is a mound here, which is where on top of this there is supposedly some kind of entrance into the cave underneath. There's some kind of stonework here, which leads down into it, and you've got the along here, along this line here, you've got all of the. This is on the north side. You've got all of the sumps, and on the other side, you've got the supposed entrance into a tunnel underneath it. So I looked at this and dug out. I could only find one photograph with the snow on it, and again, it's again these. You see these rectangular features on it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You've got like a grid structure on it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what that is, whether it's some kind of. My first thought, it could be agricultural drainage. You know, they put in drainage, but they won't put in a grid thing. You would put in drainage to, you know, it would be in lines. You might go across. You wouldn't have a grid for drainage. But again, is it an art? It can't be an artifact of Google Earth processing because this is an aerial photograph. So there's just a whole little grid thing that's being flagged up by the snow. But the most important bit that I was interested in is this bit here.
Look at that, yeah.
Which I've enlarged up in this section here.
Yeah, it looks like a cross, doesn't it?
That's quite clearly the remains of a building.
Yeah.
And also, you've got this line here, this going out, which connects into that one arm of the building and goes around there, and looks as if that could be the original boundary of the.
Right, yeah, the original wall,
because,
yeah.
Yeah, because this one sticks out around this extension to the building.
Yeah.
So originally, that could have been the original line of the wall or the boundary around the top.
Yeah, with a gatehouse on it, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know that it's the remains of a building. It certainly looks like it's a building footprint, or or the remains of a building. But then, what are all of these? This grid structure.
Mm.
And as I said, if it was in Google Earth, you might say, well, that could be some kind of processing artifact. But this is just a bog standard aerial photograph. So. What is it? So again, when you go out, when you look at normal, when you start looking at the normal aerial photographs that we take without the snow, you can still see these parallel lines.
Yeah.
On this one.
Yeah.
Now, those parallel lines I've always took to be, that would be some kind of drainage. They put a mole drain in and put a drainage in to drain the hilltop. Why you would need to drain the hilltop, I don't know, but that was my initial thought. But I don't know. It to my mind, it's got to be some form of it's got to be some form of agricultural operation. I can't understand what else it could be. And that building that we're looking at then is in this location here, where the wall now bellies out. You can see that you've got this old line there, and that wall structure is that building footprint we saw in the snow is there, which again you can see in the ground on this photograph.
Yeah, I did a little video of rock. That is the only place where you can really park to walk to see that from the distance. And the rock is right by the road from Graigwen in Pontypridd over to Llanwno.
Yeah.
And so I noticed the rock had markings on it, but I didn't see anything on the top face the first time I went there. But on that occasion, I saw the plan on the side of the rock, which forms the contour of Glog with a chamber.
Yeah.
And I put that out on the Facebook page, highlighted it in white. So I went back there to chalk it out and to show by tracing my finger how deep the chiseling was, which is an inch deep in places. It's definitely a plan of the outline.
Is it?
Yeah. But then I also chalked out the markings on the top face, hoping it would be Coelbren or something.
Yes.
Wasn't Coelbren. But I tell you what it looked like for all the world. It looked like a plan of the drainage. So when I do this video of this aerial photography, I'll put my little segment of that rock,
Okay, right, yeah.
and you'll be able to compare the two then.
Yeah, okay. No, that's now. This is exactly the whole point of what Britain's hidden history is about. Yeah, you've got a piece of a jigsaw. I've got a piece of a jigsaw. Is it the same jigsaw, and do they fit together?
I've got back out there with another piece of chalk and with the in mind of looking to see if there's a building there
Right.
on this chiseling. It's the same sort of chiseling as on the side.
Right.
On the
Well,
top, it's like half an inch deep, maybe and there's definitely straight lines, and some of them look as if they're going into a sump. Some of them look as if they're like an estuary, you know, where it sort of spreads out the runoff.
Well, I can't wait to see that. I'd be
It won't be
very
long. I'll do it straight away.
But there's another feature on Glog which is featured, and I haven't particularly noticed it until I got that photograph in the snow, and then started looking at other images. And you've got this feature which comes down, and it seems to cross over the trackway that goes up to the top now that the farmer uses to get to the top, and it seems to have crossed over
underneath it. Yeah.
And this trackway seems to have bisected it, actually cut through it. Otherwise, why would it? Why would it come down? Now, when you start looking at it in detail, it looks to me like it is some kind of a drainage channel. You can just see that it does, continue just not very far, but it does continue past there. But one of the issues photographs I've got here, this looks like rock.
Yeah.
And this drainage feature, whatever it is, it runs alongside the rocks there. But this point here, it seems to cut through the rock.
Yeah.
Now, is it a drainage feature? And if it is it a natural drainage feature, or is it an artificial one? And it seems to comes at a low point here. So I believe that it could be a drainage feature, and there seems to be a bit of a semicircle there, which could be the place where water ponds up and gets caught behind the wall, and then is fed out through there. But I don't know. It's just another one of those. This is another trip out to Twyn Glog now to look at that and check out what that is. Having now seen it on Google Earth, what is it, and has it got any relevance to what we're looking at in terms of the Wilson Blackett story of Twyn Glog?
Interesting, yeah.
But so stop sharing. Yeah. So.
Thank you very much, Bob. Sounds very entertaining and illuminating.
Okay. I think the point to make to the members is, if you haven't been out on sites, get out there. And even if you've been out on sites, no matter how many times you go out there, go out again, because you will always find something. Every time you go out, the conditions are different. The weather conditions are different. Even in mist, you can see some things which you can't see in normal conditions. In sunlight, you can see features which you wouldn't see in normal conditions. Low sunlight is really good because it highlights lots of things. But go out there and just keep looking, because we haven't found everything yet.
No.
There's more to find.
The interesting thing about that rock that I was talking about, there's two rocks there. And as far as you can see, there's not a mark on the other rock. Not a single mark.
Just the one rock.
Yeah. And that rock is right next to the road. So therefore,
is this the two rocks where opposite it, there's like a forestry road going into? Yes.
It's the only place you can park.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've stood on that rock, and I've never.
Yeah. And then you've gone like that. That's Twyn Glog.
Yeah. I've stood on that rock to take a photograph. Yeah. But unlike you, I haven't noticed.
Do you want to?
Twyn Glog. Showing the wall that's been put there in ancient times. And now as I pan backwards, look what's in front of it. A rock. Seen a glow on the outline. And look what's here. Chiseled out the shape of the tump. And look what's here. A chamber, possibly. Maybe this is the drainage. Seen a glow. The chamber. Outline of the profile of Tina Glow. Including a chamber possibly within. And markings on the stone's face. A variety of marks. Channels. Graffiti. And next to it, a second stone. I can't see a single mark on that one. And now that I've marked out some of what look like the same sort of chiselling as the chiselling on the side, quite shallow and yet straight, just take a look at what emerges. To my mind, that's a plan of the sumps and the drainage. Look at that. Let's focus in. Right, say that's the chamber by there, where the spot of lichen is. Just to the left of it, you got a line that runs down, and is that the sump at the bottom? Back to the chamber. More lines running down, and there's a crisscross one there, look. Runs down into a sump maybe. And the other way, it's running down and run out of chalk. You can see there, that could be man-made and chiselled, or it could be totally natural. Further down you got another one. Actually, that might even have a link further up. And that could be the drainage away, look. A smaller one on the other side. And maybe, don't know if that's natural or part of it. Are we looking at a plan of the drainage for Tina Glow? I'd almost laugh my head off if we were. Fancy discovering that. So just a point of reference, there's Tina Glow. If you stand the other side of the rock, by there, where I've tripod is. If you stand by there, you literally see carving in the form of a tump with a hole in it and a plan on the flat surface above it of what could be the plan for the drainage. Well, that rock has been there for a very long time, a lot longer than the wall, and it's right next to the road that runs from Pontypridd in that direction to Llanwano in that direction. So does that indicate that this road was put here at the same time as the great works of the Cymry creating Tina Glow? It's a rather bendy road. Obviously the tarmacking is modern. And let's not forget that we had a great discovery. One of the Britain's Hidden History members over that direction beyond the trees. A rock, massive rock in the shape of a lion. The motif, emblem for the 2 tribes of Judah and 10 tribes of Israel. And that, on the South Wales star map, is Regulus, the main star of Leo.
Oh, well, I'm really chuffed about that find myself. Yeah, really chuffed. Rich DJ asked, did I get my dowsing rods out? Well, no, but I was asking the ether, call it whatever you like, show me something that nobody's found. I'd like to be at least find something that nobody's ever found before. I'm sure that's been seen before, and people haven't realised what it was. But I know we'd all like to thank Bob for his work. Eagle-eyed, as Marshall called him. So thank you, Bob. We'll take a little look at today's chat now then. So I started out with Nimble Horse saying about slow mode, and I can't really alter it during even being given instructions. I daren't press a button. I didn't leave a screen and go into another one. It's just too much of a risk. George Bodley pointed out that Mynydd Mine, I think that's how I can't read my own writing, Mynydd Mine, which is a mountain near Newbridge, has an application in place for wind farms. It's not good, is it? Kay Higgs has said that he or she gave a warning about possible historical damage and loss on the planned walkway at Llangollen. Marshall pointed out that St. Peter's would have been a monastery, so with different buildings, not just the church. And then David Mosley pointed out that Cor Emrys was there at that location, which was a choir known as the Diamond, and there would have been singing and praying and chanting going on for 24 hours a day, every day. Imagine that. So there must have been quite a big medieval town there to keep that chanting and praying and singing going as much as they did. Hippie Sheikh was wondering about LiDAR. Has there been any LiDAR up there? Well, I thought, and so I could be totally wrong about this, but I thought LiDAR ended on the border between England and Wales, and that there was no LiDAR in Wales. I might be wrong about that. I probably am. Hopefully I am. Somebody will no doubt illuminate me. Legolas says that the ridge line, the high point behind St. Peter's, is called Mynydd Portreff, the mountain of supreme town. which ties back in with medieval extent of singing and praying and chanting going on. Yolanda said it was nice to see a live stream taking place again, and didn't add, but I'm going to add, complete with all the live mistakes. Well, there we have it. A. Hart is disturbed because an area looked as if it had been dug out, and that area wasn't there years ago when he was on site with Alan. And by putting that comment in, Mr. Hart, you've made us all very jealous. I mean, you've had the opportunity to go up there with Alan, and very few will get that opportunity now, I don't think. Mark Manning pointed out the medieval field system might account for the linear lines. It might. The only history I could ever recall for most of history in school was about the Saxon three-field system. I was living up by Gainsborough at the time. When we got back to Wales, the history was the Industrial Revolution. I didn't have any of Britain's hidden history to fall back on as learning. Rich DJ says, did I get my dowsing rods out? No, but I would have done. Or a crystal. I like a Benjamin. I know that Ross was very keen to see those markings, and yet he'd forgotten all about what I'd said about them prior to his last visit to the rock. As Bob was telling me about, they were up there. After I mentioned about the markings to him, there we are. So, well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening, today, and I hope you enjoyed our time together. Thanks to Angela and the boys and all the new volunteers who are helping out behind the scenes. So we're going to go back to Arnie playing the violin again. It's the previous recording because they've been away this week, so I haven't been sent a new one. And after that, then we'll find another track to play. Well done, Arnie. Very talented, only 14. It's been pointed out there is LiDAR in Wales. That's good to hear. And also there's a video about the visit to Minna as mentioned by A. Hart with Alan. No doubt we can put that one on if it's not already on somewhere. Wales and LiDAR. It's a subject that maybe needs a whole program about it itself. The LiDAR results shown on the ground in Wales. Right, there's another music video going on now. It'll be another Steve Preston. All his music videos are on his own YouTube channel. It's hard to find somebody with a common name like Preston, Stephen, spelled with a PH and he's got a J in the middle. And this next track coming up, there's no movement in it. I think there's a problem with recording off YouTube on this OBS system. I'm not sure if there is a problem, but all the recordings I've done have been stuttery. If you go on Steve's YouTube channel, and you to take a look at that video of the Preseli Mountains. As I mentioned, he's a better film maker than I am, and his video is without chudderiness or shaking like mine. If you looked at me with the rock, I had to edit it in immensely because the camera was on the tripod and the wind blew the tripod over. Not once, twice. The first time I caught it, the second time, smash, straight into the ground. And luckily I had a hood on it. So here we are, Stephen J. Preston singing Chrwydro Unaint Byd.
Caffi mae syllun sy'n yn gwenu'n fawr I ddyn yn beth dwi'n I ddim Does ganddi hi ddim syniad mod yna I gwylio hi Mae ei llun dal yn fy mhen ac mae aros Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 A fi'n credu mae'n rhyfedd o'r gwych fydde crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Dwi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Wedi crwydro I bob man methu dallt yn iawn Y cyfan fi a'i wnaen y chwilio am y llwybr iawn Ar lan ei hafon hun a'i dan y gyda di Mae y llun dal yn fy mhen ac mae aros Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 A fi'n credu mae'n rhyfedd o'r gwych bydde crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Dwi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Dwi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Gad mi weld y byd Dangos I mi'r byd Dos am I thi Crwydro ynddo fi Gad mi weld y byd Dangos I mi'r byd Dos am I thi Crwydro ynddo fi A mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 A fi'n credu mae rhyfedd o'r gwych bydde crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Fi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 A fi'n credu mae rhyfedd o'r gwych bydde crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Dwi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 A fi'n credu mae rhyfedd o'r gwych bydde crwydro yna I byd Mae'n gwaith woohoo la 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 Dwi'n gwybod dim ond fi'n dyhau am gael crwydro yna I byd Gad mi weld y byd Dangos I mi'r byd Dos am I thi Crwydro ynddo fi Gad mi weld y byd Dangos I mi'r byd Dos am I thi Mae rhaid I mi crwydro ynddo fi
Well, Nostar, everyone, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully see you all again next time. Well, I've stopped the recording, and the live chat is just about ended, is it? Hippie Shake, I wonder if you could move the red bar that is on the bottom of the recording box over to the right. Sometimes I noticed I did that once and I caught myself back up. So I think I'm only waffling now. I can stop the stream at any time. My chat is a bit behind, unfortunately. So yeah, we need another video from Arnie now. Latest tune. Apparently Margaret's telling me that Arnie has promised to do another one. It doesn't matter, Arnie. I'll just keep repeating the ones you've done. So hopefully there's a video we got to look at, the Kaya Mead video that is mentioned in the chat. I missed it, unfortunately. So thank you very much again, and hopefully one of the streams will be on Britain's Hidden History, either an edited version or the live version. Thanks very much.